Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson of World Alternative Media here in Athens, Greece, at an incredible and mysterious site right in the middle of the legendary city. We are here at Philopappou Hill. This place has left archaeologists and researchers scratching their heads since ancient times. You won't want to miss this video. Philopappou Hill, named after Roman Julius Antiochus Philopappus around 114 AD alongside the construction of the hill's crowning monument, has been a meeting place and place of relaxation for thousands of years among Greeks, Romans, Arabs, and visitors. Despite its incredibly close proximity to the Athens Acropolis of Parthenon, it hides many secrets that people are simply unaware of when visiting the Greek capital. We will explore it in greater detail in a moment, but first, as I've reported on so many times before, mainstream academics claim that human civilization randomly begun around 3000 BC at the time of Stonehenge. Primitive people threw down their spears, picked up tools, and built the world's greatest structures ever, only getting more and more primitive as time went on, as if they forgot how to build. With the discovery of Gobekli Tepe, which I will be reporting on next month in Turkey, which dates back to around the 10th millennia BC, academics were forced to push back their understanding of megalithic stone construction and technology. So now the story goes as so. People who could not even farm threw down their spears, picked up tools without any understanding of construction, built a massive site that dwarfs Stonehenge around the time of the Younger Dryas period. They continuously bury it for no known reason over and over again, building on top. Then they finally decide to bury it one last time, throw down their tools, pick up spears, and do nothing for many thousands of years, until suddenly deciding to pick up their tools again and build Stonehenge and the pyramids. Again, getting more and more primitive as time goes on and forgetting how to build pyramids. They were able to lift the largest rocks and construct the most impressive structures in the earliest epoch, yet as time went by, their abilities weakened, and now we have tiny pencil buildings in New York City. Cool. All of their legends were similar, if not exactly the same. Whether we're talking about the Egyptians, Greeks, Romans, Sumerians, Chinese, Indians, Incas, Aztecs, Mayans, Olmecs, Hopis, Cree, it doesn't matter. Wherever you go in the world, they talk about a great flood that wiped out a far more technologically savvy ancient civilization. The people who passed down the knowledge were deified. Osiris, Utnapishtim, Zeus, Quetzalcoatl, Vishnu, Viracocha, etc. Could humanity simply be cyclical with a profound ability to forget and deify fact as perhaps exaggerated, perhaps even undercut legend? Noah's Ark, Gilgamesh, Horus, Adam, and Thoth in Egypt bringing a great cataclysm, Atlantis in Greek legend. Now, in 2019, we know that there was a great cataclysm around the exact time spoken of in the Bible regarding Noah. Around the same time as Gilgamesh, around the same period the Egyptians and Mayans both speak of, around the same time as Gobekli Tepe, around the same exact time as Plato and Solon recount Atlantis and its battle with Athens. The earth was hell. Flood and fire ravaged the planet for nearly 1,000 years. From ice age to rapid melting to more ice again, followed by more rapid melting again. The Younger Dryas period was a terrible time to be alive, yet some of the most interesting stories in our history appear to surround that time frame. 75% of all mammals in North America were wiped out at the same time. It seems to me that while the stories around the world aren't the exact same, they are similar enough to perhaps tell us that a historical game of telephone took place. A helping hand, if you will. Information from a great civilization that lived before the Great Cataclysm was passed down and slowly forgotten as time went by. From the dating of the Sphinx and the water erosion around its enclosure to the stories of Egypt being an offshoot of the Atlantean civilization. From Gobekli Tepe and the thousands of sites around the world that academics shrug off without answers, yet attack those who theorize themselves, to this incredible site I'm standing at today. There are so many questions to be asked. Now let's analyze this site. The hill, also known as the Hill of the Muses, alongside the Hill of the Pnyx and the Nymphs, holds many secrets. When you visit the site, you notice countless examples of old structures. The marble pathway that leads along the walk up the hill was placed in the 1950s. The Church of Agios on the hill is from the 16th century. Through a detour, you will find Socrates' prison. It is a controversial view that Socrates was in prison there and has long been thought to be a tourist incentive in order to sway tourists to the area. But nonetheless, it is an interesting bit of information whether you wish to believe it or not. We are not going to delve into that today. You'll notice an intricate nature of these ancient structures. The structures contain chambers that are incredibly well crafted, cut out of bedrock. Stairs up here? While there's evidence that the ancient Greeks utilized the buildings, and of course they did, there's no evidence that they were the original builders. Rather, it's more evident that they just utilized already existing structures. This would also give credit to the fact that there are countless myths about the area itself. According to legend, Greek god Zeus slept with Mnemosyne for 9 consecutive nights upon the hill. This birthed the 9 muses in which the hill is dedicated, hence the Hill of the Muses. Could it be that these muses were like so many other fables of the past, based on a level of truth or reality deified by the ages? That there were simply people who lived there in a distant epoch? The Greeks certainly had a way of making those who lived before them reach saint status in legend. The Greeks, after all, were the greatest of storytellers, other than perhaps the Egyptians who heavily influenced them. Here we see again massive stone and massive construction projects that seem unnecessary for what we see at face value on this hill. While not as impressive from the outside as the Parthenon, obviously, the intricate nature of the structure within seems to be both unnecessary and incredibly technologically underrated. Now, jumping over to the Pnyx, there stands a cyclopean wall that looks far too much like the walls we see in Central and South America by what I believe to be pre-Olmec civilizations. This wall has somewhat of a Greek touch to it, however, but one has got to wonder how it was built. The claim is that it was built in the 4th century BC of ashlar and solid masonry, nearly 2 meters thick. The story is that it was built to protect the steps in which free speech was espoused to the masses at the Pnyx. Okay, sure, but why and how? I have yet to see the actual records that date it in such a way. These massive stones fit together like jigsaw puzzles, and you have to imagine them less weathered at the time this massive wall was built over here. I mean, words cannot express how huge the stones are. It's ridiculous. You can see over here as well, example of polygonal cutting, which you see in many other places in the world. Very interesting. Interesting way this stone was cut here. And of course, interesting enough, not a whole lot of tourists around here. There's locals from the local neighborhood just over there, but overall, not a lot of people find this to be extraordinarily interesting. Something of note, a guy who works at the park asked me if this filming was for personal use or not, and it appears they don't really like people coming over here and filming it, which is odd, but I'll leave it at that since I've gotten most of the footage I need over here for now. Seriously though, guys, how did the Greeks lift this massive stone? It's just so crazy. Could the site not have simply been seen as significant to the Greeks, to which perhaps some of the past knowledge of civilizations was still dwindling to some degree, as we see with so-called legends like Atlantis? Could it have been transformed into a space of importance based on its past history? I know I'm reaching here, but when I see walls like this, it makes little to no sense to me how and why they would be built. They are built in a far different style than what we saw among the ancient Greeks, and the level of fortification is astonishing. They were essentially earthquake-proof, like the walls we see in Machu Picchu, Peru. Massive stones cut so perfectly to fit like puzzle pieces. Of course, few tourists care about this site, but at the very least, the site has beautiful views of the astrologically aligned Parthenon if anyone is interested in bringing their families here and avoiding hearing the dreaded "Dad, I don't care" tantrum. Either way, this site is fascinating, and I think we are starting to see ancient mysteries surrounding the Greeks become more and more uncovered. I think the ancient history behind Athens and the rest of Greece is far older than we've been told, like we've seen throughout the world and like I've broken down in countless videos and documentaries. With the constant new discoveries on the pyramid-shaped island of Deuskalion, which appears to help rewrite history and connect Greece pre-empire with the rest of the world, including Egypt by sea, the latest developments are just on the horizon. I hope to also go to the ancient pyramid of Hellinikon near Argos, which has been dated to be older than the oldest pyramids in Egypt. How does that happen? I thought the Greeks were influenced by the Egyptians. Why are there Cyclopean pyramids in the middle of ancient Sparta that predate the classical Greeks and allegedly predate dynastic Egypt? Isn't it time to start seriously pressing for answers here? From great flood myths to real evidence of ancient cataclysms, from academics refusing to push back the date of ancient civilizations as older and older technologically savvy civilizations holding onto the same symbolism are found time and time again. From the Sphinx's water erosion to Gobekli Tepe, from similarities between cultures that could not have been in contact throughout the world, to unknown construction methods, which in many cases we cannot replicate today with all of our great technologies. Greece is yet another window into an ancient world we seem to have forgotten, and it would do us well to try and remember, so to not repeat the same mistakes once again. The true mysteries of the lost ancient civilizations are still yet to be understood, and it's our job to try and uncover the past to better understand our own futures. History doesn't repeat, but it sure does rhyme, as Mark Twain once said. I will be continuing to cover these sites throughout the world. I am sitting on countless videos at the moment in my travels, and will also be traveling to Turkey later in the month to report on some of the most mysterious and incredible sites in the world, truly setting the clock back on ancient civilizations by thousands of years. If you can help fund my travels, I would truly appreciate it. I plan on going to Iraq, Iran, Egypt, Peru, Bolivia, Lebanon, and many other historic countries throughout the world in the next year or so. I traveled throughout Mauritania a couple of months ago, so you know I'll stick to my word. I want to help document and try to understand ancient sites and their stories, in many cases in places where most are afraid to go. You can find links below to help contribute, as well as in the outro video that's about to play. Let's help bring this free content to the masses. Thank you so much for watching, everyone, and until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change. Like what you see here, OM? Don't forget to check the links below. GoFundMe, Patreon. We can't do it without you. Any donation is very much appreciated, as we are so heavily demonetized and shadow banned to a crazy extent. We have lost about 80% of our reach since the beginning of this year as they rip away subscribers, etc. It has gotten out of control, and it's becoming more and more difficult to stay alive here on World Alternative Media, bringing you guys free content every day. You can also check our Bitcoin address in the description, as well as on the screen for you to scan if you please. And also check us out on all these other alternatives like Subscribestar, where we are doing subscriber only content for people at the $4.99 US a month tier and up. We really appreciate it. You could tip us on there and pledge anything, but from $4.99 and up, we are giving people subscriber only content that you won't find here on YouTube. And speaking of YouTube, there are so many alternatives for YouTube these days, including BitChute, which we are on at World Alternative Media, as well as, of course, the new flote.app, flote.app, where they are truly replacing all of these social medias, including Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Tumblr, Reddit, and of course, Twitch and Patreon, all in one place, and it is truly incredible what they are doing. We are moving over there en masse, as well as BitChute, BitTube, Steemit at Josh Sigurdson, all those other places, as well as PocketNet. We are on as well at World Alternative Media. There's so many options today, and we're trying to get into as many of them as possible because we need to back ourselves up. We are winning this information war, but we are getting to a point where they are cracking down more desperately than ever, and we got to do whatever we can to stay alive, as it's getting more and more difficult all the time. We also have events coming up, including Anarchadelphia 2019, which will be in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania in September. Check out thestateofanarchy.com and anarchadelphia.com. Linked below, use promo code WAM, W-A-M, and save 10% on your tickets to this amazing conference as Anarchy is going viral. Also, make sure to check out the Winnipeg Crypto Conference in October. Also, use promo code WAM, another great event with amazing speakers, and of course, Anarchapulco, the one and only, in February 2020, which you can also use promo code WAM for WAM and save 10%. There's so many things that you can do to help independent media, including just pressing like, sharing, clicking the notification button, doing whatever you can to help keep this free information alive that's alternative to the mainstream. Anyway, until next time, thanks for watching, everyone. This is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.
I'm sure you have already changed people's minds in your young age because you're involved, and I like that.
Bye.